Hey you guys, so today I wanted to talk to you about what do you do when you're the parent of an adult child who's abusing either substances, the law, or maybe even their families. So I'd like to get into that today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sally Harris, and I help desperate moms of defiant adult children. I help them regain their own life back by creating a plan, using different strategies and techniques that have worked for me in the past. I was walked this road for 10 plus years, and there's a lot of things that worked and a lot of things that didn't. And so that's why I decided to follow my passion with this and be able to help other moms. So I will put a link to my discovery call below the video here. So if you're interested in chatting about this situation with your adult child, I'd love to hear from you. So parenting adult children who abuse substances, the law, or their families. I think sometimes us as families kind of fall into that category. When our kids are abusing substances or breaking the law, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, the families get sucked into it, right? Because it affects everyone. It affects everyone. So just want to go through, I have 6 suggestions for coping. There's a time when you talk with your child, and there's a time for listening, and there's a time for setting them straight. And when it's time to set them straight, you need to remind them that their choices are what got them there. Doesn't mean you have to throw it in their face, but sometimes you have to reel them back in and just remind them and let them know that you didn't make this decision for them. You didn't do X, Y, Z. They're the ones that made that choice, and that's why they are where they're at. Interventions can be very helpful at times. I think I'm familiar with drug interventions. I'm not familiar with other types of interventions that are out there, but do your research on that, and that's an avenue you could take, because it really also shows after an intervention it's a whole family situation, and so it really does. It's a good stepping stone towards the family's overall health, regardless of what the child decides to do. So the second one is to offer your child help, even if they don't take it. So maybe you find some support services for them, and they're not interested. And if they're not, then that's okay. You did your part by maybe you helped research a few things, but don't blame yourself if they refuse to use them. And I know how hard that is, because you can see what's right in front of them, and sometimes they have blinders on. So that's another situation where you just have to, your faith comes in, and you just have to continue to hope that they can see the light as far as continuing on that path or taking that path. So that is number 2. And then the third one is simply to love your child. And it sounds simple, right? But when you have a child that has gone astray like this, I'm not saying it's hard to love them, but there's times where you love them, but you don't like them. Do you know what I mean? You can feel that way, and it sounds horrible, but if you have been in the situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean enabling. Always remember that. Loving does not mean enabling. And make sure you're keeping them accountable, and not allowing them to kind of dictate power over you or the rest of the family, because again, this becomes a family issue for sure. So number 4 is accept that you can't rescue them. And it's simply not possible. And I know as moms, we think, well, why not? Like, we're mom, we should be able to do this. Why are they not listening to us? And it's one of the most frustrating things in the world. At the same time, we really have to accept it, because they are an adult. They're not 14, 15 years old. You don't really have any say in it. You can guide them and hope that they'll, take your advice. But at the end of the day, it's their decision. So once you accept that, it makes it a little bit easier. And then what do you do after all of those things, right? So again, then what you do is protect yourself and the rest of your family. What does that look like? Well, a lot of people talk about rock bottom, and I can definitely say that I got there. I had a strong addiction to alcohol. I had gained 70 pounds. I was depressed. I was full of anxiety. If you want to call it a hot mess, that was me. And that was my rock bottom. But everyone everyone's rock bottom is different. And what you may see as rock bottom for your child may not be their rock bottom. And at the end of the day, it could be something can trigger them to change something that is something minor. Like it's not always this big event. So we don't want the child to go rock bottom, obviously, but we don't want the family to do it either. So keep that in mind. And so in order to not allow that to happen, what do? You have to take better care of yourself. And that's something I did not do a very good job of for a very long time. And so once I was healed, then everything else started falling into place. I'm not saying that it's all on your shoulders when things go awry because of you hitting rock bottom, but it affects the whole family. The siblings, your spouse, everybody. So rock bottom is also not a necessary point for people to change. I used to think that, where it's like, oh, they haven't hit rock bottom yet. Oh, they haven't hit rock bottom yet. That's not necessarily true. Excuse me. And so therefore the family doesn't have to either. So it's really just acknowledgement and realization, like, okay, I need to start taking better care of myself. And it's every day, every step. So loving yourself is so key. And how do we do it? We do it through self-care. It sounds simple, but you need to do something every day for yourself, every single day. If, exercise every single day, even if it's just going for a walk, and that doesn't cost you anything. And it's beautiful this time of year everywhere, I think. So, it's very important to do that because that gets your blood pumping and it gets all the good hormones moving. So it's very important to do that, as well as obviously eating healthy and there's a million things I could say about that. But I think the big thing is moms need to get out of the mindset of that we have to put ourselves last financially and just in daily, like our how many hours are in a day. Like a lot of moms put themselves last. And it's very, very common. I think we all did it when our kids are little. But even as they grow up, if they're struggling, the mom still feels like she has to be there to pick them up. And that's just not the case. Because, and I've mentioned this a million times, but at the end of the day, if your child decides, I've had enough of this life, I want more for myself, and then they're healthy, and then where are you? Recovery for even the mom, as far as getting your own life back, it doesn't happen overnight. It's baby steps, just like it's baby steps for your child. So if your child's healthy and you're not, then what have you accomplished? And then you're not even going to be there to enjoy it. And that's what I get passionate about, because that almost happened to me. And it's just not worth it. So it's very, very important to do that. And of course, seek wise counsel. See a counselor, join a group, do something. That's why I do what I do. Would love to talk to you about that. And then one thing really big, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Well, take a break from social media. Just take a break. I think a lot of times we compare our family to the Joneses. And in the Joneses family, all the children, they probably all graduated college, right? In order. They all graduated college. Then they got married one by one and had babies one by one, all in order. You know what I'm saying? We compare ourselves like, oh, look at them. Look at those families. Those families have everything together. Their kids never did anything wrong. I've gone through that as well. And I think it's very normal. And I think social media just feeds all of that. Not in a bad way necessarily all the time. But I think it's just really important that we keep that be mindful of all of that. So I hope that helps someone today. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.